Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of April 25th, 2011. Thank you for coming to the site. Thank you for being here and supporting. It's great to have you. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question on animation or performance answered in a video demonstration every single week. So if you have a question or if you're stumped or you don't know what to do, please ask me. Send your questions in. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones I think are going to help the most members. So it's a great way to interact with the site. Please send all your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com and I will get to them. Like I said, I go through all of them and I try to answer the ones that I think are going to help the most people. So please send those in. I'm having a great time doing the Ask Video Mail and in the site in general. It's just every single week I just got to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It's really, I'm enjoying myself a lot and it's just been great. You might have noticed that the site has received a facelift in the past week or so, and I have Greg Kapersky to thank for that. He very generously offered to update the look of the site, and I think it looks fantastic, and things are a little bit more organized, and it's easier to see and easier to read, which is great. I want you to be enjoying the site on all levels, not just the animation content, but I want it to be easy to read and navigate and fun to look at. So thank you, Greg. It looks great, and I'm very appreciative of that. I am also still offering a free membership to people who want to contribute to the blog. There are a few requirements that I have before we can do that, but if you'd like to be a blogger on KennyRoy.com, that is one way that you can get a free subscription. So if you're interested in that, please contact me. Again, webmaster@kennyroy.com is fine to contact me on that. There's a blog post on Animalia, and I just wanted to divert your attention just for a second to that. If you didn't see it in the public blog, the main blog, there is a link to Animalia, which is ANOMALIA, and what it is it's a sort of like a conference sort of / workshop seminar program that's put on by this organizer named David, and what he does is he is polling the students in Central and Eastern Europe who would be potentially interested in coming to a conference or a workshop put together for them, and this is for next year, and he asked me if I wanted to propose a course, and I thought it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for everyone to get together and make a 30-second short film in 5 days. It sounds crazy, but it would be. I know it would be an absolute blast, and I know we can do it for sure. I just think it would be fantastic. So look in the blog for the post on Animalia, and David is asking people to basically chime in whether or not they would think that that's a course that they'd like, and I think it would be. Also, a few people asked what this is. This is, I wore this in the latest lecture, which was the workflow walkthrough part 3, the final part. And people thought it was maybe a brace or something that had to do with ergonomics. It does have to do with ergonomics, but it's not a brace or anything. It's called Smudge Guard. And I don't work for the company or anything, but I do highly recommend it. What it is basically a glove. You put it on like this, and then it only covers your pinky. And it was designed for people who are using tablet PCs and for Cintiqs so that you wouldn't get the dirt and oil from your hand on the screen. But I find that it's just as useful for when you're using the Wacom tablet to reduce friction and make it so you glide around all day. I was finding that I would get, you just be moving around all day, and you'd get, your skin would hurt. So when you're serious about ergonomics, every little thing can help. So Smudge Guard, you can get it on Amazon, I think, for like, I'm not sure how much it is, maybe like $11, maybe something like that. Pretty good. So that's what that is. And also, someone asked me to describe my ergonomic setup. Right now I have a Herman Miller chair, which really are the best. And I have this is called an ergo rest. And what the ergo rest does is you take your hand and you just rest your forearm in it, and what it does is it makes it so you can glide your forearm around. And if you are good about it, okay, you take your all the motion out of the wrist, and you put it back up into the shoulder and the elbow, so that you're not, going like this all day on the keyboard. In practice, it works pretty well. I wouldn't say that it is the end-all be-all of for people who have RSI. Still at the end of the day, when I've been working a long time, I do have a little bit of tingling in my wrists and elbows, and also my neck. This desk is not the right height, and that's a big problem, because when you start resting on your shoulders, I've been told by this physical trainer, this physical therapist rather, named Jason, who I'm actually going to have come in and do a video mail on ergonomics, and he's going to show us some stretches, some different ones than you've seen, to help you. I found that my shoulders are really screwed up, and so is my neck after a long day, because you ground out. He calls it grounding out the motion. So you want all of that motion to go from your fingertips all the way up, but when you stop it right here, you cause a lot of strain that you don't have to. But anyway, I'm going to let him tell you more about that in a video mail to come. That might be next week's. We'll see. Great. So that's it. I wanted to this week answer a video mail that is in keeping with the topic of the article, and it's going to be an ongoing thing that I address because I find it very, very important. Okay, so let's look at the question real quick, and then we'll get to the answer. I feel like I have to apologize. It kind of doesn't occur to me that you, when you're learning that I'm giving out all these video mails and all these lectures, and there's a ton of content coming at you all the time. It would never dawn on me that you'd sit down and open up Maya after seeing the content and having something new to try, and then not want to do it. But it's not that it wouldn't occur to me, because I've never felt that, and that was kind of the point of the first article, the first part of the Staying Motivated article, which is that if you're working and you're sitting there and you're just like, oh my god, this sucks, you shouldn't immediately just conclude that, all right, well, I'm obviously not supposed to be an animator, because everyone that I know that's a great animator, or everyone I see online who does amazing animation, they look so motivated, and I'm not feeling that right now, so this is obviously not for me. That's the complete opposite of the truth. Okay, everyone online that has some success, and you see their short film on YouTube or whatever, every single one of those people wanted to quit a dozen times. Okay, and it's a matter of finding that thing for you that's going to remind you that this is hard, and the harder it gets just means the more reward is waiting for you when you overcome that. Okay, it should actually be inspiring. It should be motivating when you come across something that's extremely hard with animation. Okay, and hopefully you send in a question to the video mail, and I can help you over it. So I kind of have amnesia. There were times when I was extremely lost motivation, and I didn't feel like working at all. In fact, for a long time, I actually thought I was going to be like a 3D artist. I didn't think I was going to be a character animator, because I was really, really attracted to things like Jurassic Park. But what I loved about it was actually how real the dinosaur skin looked, and it still holds up. It's crazy how basically the first big on-screen featured CG characters still hold up. I think they look great still. But point is that I thought that, like, oh my god, the skin looks so real, and like, you know, I immediately started like building dinosaurs in True Space and 3D Studio DOS, and just thinking to myself that I'm just going to be an artist. I'm just going to, you know, make 3D images and whatnot. It wasn't until I started taking some film in school that I thought, you know what, it's actually more fun and more rewarding, even though it's more work, to make stuff move. And that's when I really kind of got into animation. But I remember all along the way, there were times where I just said, like, this is so hard and this sucks and I want to quit, and you know, I'm never doing this again. And I would take weeks and weeks and weeks off. Not even opening up. Well, back then I pretty much learned on 3D Studio Max version 1.2, but I pretty much would not even open up the program for weeks on end. And you know, that was kind of, you know, if I could go back, I would do this one thing, and the thing that I said in the article this month, I would do that thing much sooner. And I tell this to my animationmentor.com students as well, which is do a lot more of smaller things. Do a ton of tiny little things, and you'll feel great, okay? Students are always biting off way more than they can chew. Why? Because they want something that's going to be absolutely fantastic and amazing and you know, the biggest, best thing they can do. If there's a 250 frame limit on an assignment, 9 out of 12 students, no, that's crazy, 11 out of 12 students will do a 250 frame animation. 2 character limit, they'll do 2, or 3 character limit, they'll do 3 characters, 250 frames. And I keep on I tell every single one of them, listen, I've had a pretty good time in animation. I've been very lucky to work on some really cool projects. I'm extremely lucky to have some clients that come back over and over again that keep my studio open. Okay, I've been extremely lucky. All right, extremely lucky. If I was learning animation right now, I'm not sure I would be so lucky. I got in pretty early, okay? So, but if I had to do it all over again, all right, right now, I would do the absolute smallest projects I possibly could. So if I was at Animation Mentor and the frame, you have to stay within like 100 frames and 1 character to 250 frames and 3 characters, I would do 100 frames and 1 character, and I would nail it. Why? Because it's no sweat off my back, and it's no problem for my mentor, if we're talking about AM, it's no problem for my mentor to help me move forward and do something after that. If I nail it, if I finish it. But what I see, and this is all schools, and this is also personal work, like 11-second club. How many frames is 11 seconds? I'm terrible at math, so I have to do this. 264 frames. Okay? All right, yeah, 10 seconds would be 240 frames. Okay, so 264 frames. So the 11-second club as well. The 11-second club is a bad idea for people who are still kind of learning animation. It's a bad idea. Why? You're going to get killed and you're going to lose your motivation because of it. Okay? So I said in the article, we have an obligation to ourselves to keep ourselves motivated. And when you do like 11-second club and don't finish it, and when you do a 250 frame shot with 3 characters at AM or whatever school you're at, and you don't finish it, all you're doing is this. You're setting yourself up and you have one goal. Hey, what do you want to do? Oh, my goal is to be a feature animator. Okay, that's great. That's a really far off goal, and it's a really big thing. All right, and every single little thing you do. All right, 11-second club. Didn't turn out so great. Didn't finish it. Are you a feature animator yet? No, I'm not. Okay, 1 failure. All right. Rather, I want to set yourself a short-term goal. I want to be able to do very good walk cycles in 3 months. And I'm going to do, I don't know, 1 walk cycle per month. That's very manageable. Okay? Very manageable. And maybe you should do a vanilla walk, a cartoony walk, and then like a sneak. Okay? Something like that. And it's just 1 cycle. Have it cycling in place, so it just repeats. All right? But just 1 cycle of it, so it's between, if it's a vanilla walk, it's between like 12 and 16 frames. A sneak can be about 24 frames. So these are tiny, tiny little things. But then you set yourself that goal, and then when you get there, you're like, guess what, everybody? I can animate walk cycles. I can do that. I taught myself how. I did 3. They all look great because I gave myself enough time, and I can do them. Right? Rather than those in those 3 months doing 3 11-second clubs and being voted like 4.1 out of 11, and no one's commenting on your work because you slapped it together. I'm just saying. I know this sounds kind of harsh, but I'm kind of known for my tough love when it comes down to it. Okay. Last thing I wanted to bring up was that I wish I had done this a lot sooner. But if I could do this, if I had to learn all over again, I would do this, which is we had on a forum, we had, it was called Digital Rendering. I think it's been just converted into, the admin who ran it is a guy named Simon, and he's a render man, like a shader writer. But anyway, at Digital Rendering, there was a forum, and we just had we called it the Animmun Showdown. And what it was like, I think it was like 24 hours, and it was all automatic, and it was for fun, so it wasn't like, super crazy timed or whatever. But I would come up with a topic, and then people would send an email, and then I just set up an email filter that like picked out the word, and it would send them back the topic. And I would say, send your animation back in 24 hours. And that would be it. So we had tiny little topics like mount, and I think I showed you like reach and like arrow hit and all those things. And I did about a dozen of them. I ran them for a year, and they were every single week. So there were about 50 showdowns, and it just felt so good to have to see this directory filling up with animations that I started and completed. All right, and this was before I had a job, so it felt good. I just opened up this this scene, and this is the settle scene from last week, or sorry, no, 2 weeks ago. The question was, do you have any tips on how to do quick settles? This is exactly the kind of shot that I would say you should do for your practice. All right, if you're learning animation or you're teaching yourself animation, this is 48 frames, and all it is a character landing. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to kind of go through it and just spruce it up just a little bit. And we're on the tail end of. We also just saw the workflow lecture, the final workflow lecture this month. So everything's kind of coming together, and I just wanted to just dabble here and there and talk through what I'm doing. I'm noticing there's a little too much overlap on the root, so I'm just going to calm that down just a little bit. And I feel like the chest is snapping back. See how it kind of goes. Let's reduce that a little bit by finding the pose that we like and middle mouse dragging and copying it. See, I just middle mouse drag from 18 to 20 and then hit set key. And also I'm going to smooth this out just a little bit by setting a key on all controls on 30 and on 25 and deleting 27. Okay. Now let's see if any offsetting makes this look any better. I would imagine it would, just because the overlap in the spine is for right now is pretty darn stiff. So let's try to just offset the, oops, let's just do 2 frames that way, and let's deselect that one, and let's just do another 2 frames that way. This might be a little snaky now, but let's see. Yeah, it's just a little bit too much offset on this top one. I'm only doing rotate X. You could probably get away with doing a little bit more on the rotate Y and rotate Z of this character. All right, now I don't like how fast his arms really snap back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a key right here and delete this one. I'm going to do the same right here. Basically just creating a little bit more of a delay with those hands as they go backwards. This head looks like it's on head isolate. Yeah, it is. So let's get a little bit, let's just key this just straightforward. Just a little bit of straight ahead animation on the head. We can bring a little bit of life to it, and I'm just going to set a key in on 2 frames later, have a little bit of a head dart, and then back over 4 frames by middle mouse dragging and copying to the end. It's a little too dramatic. Using the middle mouse drag trick again. I use that a lot, don't I? Okay. So now we got a little bit of life on the head. And so I'm just going to leave it there. I'm probably going to tweak and play on this shot for the next week or 2, and then upload it, tell you when it's done, and just upload it with a future video mail and say, like, this is what I would definitely be doing if I were you guys, is do the smaller projects. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that if you start too many really small projects, then they kind of pile up. The last part of this is starting it, but also finishing it. Okay? So I would say 72 frames is the upper limit of these shots. 48 frames is perfect. So come up with things that are like 48 frames. Like, oh, grabbed it, done, that's it. How long was that? That was like 32 frames. Like a phone ringing, something like that. Okay, but don't start too many of them and make sure you finish them. All right. Well, listen, I'm totally on board. I really want to make sure that everyone has all they need to stay motivated. So we're going to continue this series in the articles and the video mail on how to stay motivated. And I'm going to give you guys more and more challenging things to do that are going to keep you motivated, because you're going to be building on success. All right. So I'd love to see your guys' little shots, load them into the forums. All right, and critique each other, encourage each other, and I guarantee you we're all on a brand new path towards being a super motivated, happy animator, okay? All right, great. Don't forget to send your questions in for the video mails, okay, guys? The email address to send them to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. Again, I go through all of them, and I answer the ones I think are going to help the most people, so please send them in. I'm having a great time doing this. All right, guys, good luck with your animation. And as always, rock on.